Adam Montgomery in court and waiving his right to appear in court, although he may appear on some select days. Somehow it's up to him. I don't know how, but that's how it is. And also, kind of in a shocking move, admitting guilt now on two of the charges: falsifying physical evidence and abuse of a corpse during the defense's opening statement. This is a case that many of us are watching, especially if you're a parent and feeling very heartbroken by Harmony Montgomery, his daughter, 5 years old when she went missing and not reported missing for nearly 3 years after the fact. The fact that no one in the world of Harmony knew to say that she was missing is extremely sad. And even more disturbing, the fact that Adam here allegedly went on for all that time without much guilt, without much empathy for what happened. Joining me to discuss, Robin Dreeke, retired FBI special agent. It's an interesting argument. It's admitting guilt to a certain extent, but not walking up to the line of saying, I killed her, but knowing he falsified evidence and abuse of a corpse. And we've seen in some of the affidavits and some of the testimony from those around him that participated in this abuse of the corpse, some of the it's so gruesome and shocking of what he did with her body. I'm not going to go into the details, but it's just it's beyond human. I think in many ways. What's going on here? Is this another narcissist here that's playing the game of, well, I'm going to say this because it'll get me a lesser sentence, and just having no regard for reality of what he actually did?
Well, I don't know where he is on his arc.
Yeah.
I really don't. This is such an emotional case because every time you see a photo of that sweet little girl, I mean, I'm getting misty right now. My nose is tingling thinking about her.
Yeah.
What a sweet little girl that didn't choose her parents.
Yeah.
And look at a wreck that she was born into.
Yeah.
Um, he is a extremely troubled drug addict,
Hmm.
and it boy, it doesn't seem like he's hit his rock bottom, doesn't it? Even
No.
though, I mean, what the hell? The only thing I can think of, I always try to give defense attorneys a lot of credit to working hard to get their clients the best deals they possibly can. The only thing I can think here is that they can't dispute the two charges they're claiming um, that they're admitting to. I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing else. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, there's so much evidence against them, and I have no idea how he is claiming he didn't kill her.
Hmm.
It'll be really interesting what defense says about that, how they refute it. I mean, he's got zero credibility. He doesn't have anyone on his side. I mean, it's hard to imagine a jury not coming back quickly on a verdict. Again, we never know what the evidence is
Hmm.
until the trial starts, but I this one's it's just sad, and I just hope it's quick. I
Yeah.
hope there's justice done, but who knows?
With these two charges being admitted to, I can't imagine it's actually going to be a very long trial. And we're covering it here, and we're running the audio on the podcast.
Yep.
And it's the only thing I can think of is exactly what you just said. The attorney said, "Look, you have no arguments here. We're really just kind of going to go for as less of a sentence as we can possibly get, maybe." The account in the affidavit that I believe his at the time girlfriend or wife gave was that he struck her several times in the face. And the I'm paraphrasing here, at one point he said, I think I really did something. I heard some noise, and then she was in the back of the car crying, and then eventually stopped. And it still took them hours to recognize that she had died. Um, so to admit to two of the charges of, okay, she's dead, and I then concealed the corpse and abused the corpse and did all this, but not to admit to the other part. It's just it's kind of, I guess that would be admitting full guilt at that point. But to be able to have one and not the other doesn't make sense. It's like, here's the effect, but the cause, that wasn't me. Then what was the cause? What are we arguing at this point? I mean, does it dig the hole even deeper of just saying, I'm going to admit I did this, but I didn't do that?
I think it digs a hole deeper. I
Yeah.
really do. At this point, especially since they have and they're prepping to bring the jury out to the sites that all this took place in. And that's
Hmm.
going to be extremely emotional. They're going to see these places firsthand, which is extremely compelling.
Hmm.
If he if he truly wanted and defense wanted to lessen that sentence, I think the only thing they have the best option they have is to own it.
Yeah.
Just have full transparency, openness. Remember, we just talked about this: open, honest communication, transparency, and vulnerability. If you want people to have any sort of compassion with you whatsoever, talk about the meth problem we have in our country, how he's addicted, and the crap he did to his daughter to kill her.
Yeah. I mean,
If you want any compassion, just own it.
and that's, I mean, it's such a hard one to wrap your mind around with everything that he did. Is this something where we are looking at, really opening the door to the world of an extreme addict here? And this is what they're capable of. Because other than that, it just looks like someone who's completely evil. And maybe that is part of it too. But it's shocking, I guess, what he was capable of doing with his own daughter's body for months on end in a duffel bag. And if somebody wants to read about it, the affidavit is out there to read about it. And you would be completely just floored by what was done, with seemingly a clear enough conscience to carry it out and carry on with life, have jobs and work and move forward in life in a very methed out, unproductive way. But he wasn't just like in a corner or in an alley somewhere, curled up. He was moving along and getting what he needed to do to get his next fix.
You hit that one word in there, I think, doesn't relate to him, his conscience. He doesn't
Yeah.
have one. You know, whether he was born without one or whether the meth took one from him or something else in life took it from him, this person's arc in life, as we've indicated, as we talked about before in previous episodes, the reason why poor Harmony wasn't missed for so long is just because he didn't have relationships with anyone to have her missed.
Yeah.
And so he's on a behavior arc of solo life of complete destruction with everything around him. And he destroyed a young girl's life. And hopefully we're going to, like you said, unveil the curtain behind an extreme addict's behaviors that hopefully wake up even more people to, hey, we got to do something about this because this is just horrible,
Well, and
nuts.
another example of two, I do wonder, and we have a very inadequate, child welfare system in our country, and God
Oh
knows
man,
we
we
talk
talked
about it
about that.
all the time.
Yep.
But nothing is ever done. This is never something that comes up in Congress or legislation. Like, we got to really do something. We do. This is horrible. I mean, the fact that she was able to be missing for 3 years,
Mm.
and she was on CPS's radar. She was, because they initially said you can't be with mom. She's an addict, and somehow Adam was the better option of the two,
I
eh,
know. I
over
know.
over like over a foster home. So I don't know if he was, really he presented himself in a certain way at that moment in time, and it's like, well, let's hope he stays that way, because that appears to be what it was, and there was no follow up afterwards to like, where is he? Where is she? The only one that had any sort of thing on their radar was CPS, but it took 3 years for anyone to go, hey, we haven't seen anything on this in quite a while. It's a whole other thing of how our system allows these sort of things to happen. And this is just one that we caught. It,
Mhm.
it really does make you wonder how many more Harmony Montgomerys are out there, or are no longer out there. And there's parents that are just living life, that they're doing, and nobody is the wiser.
100%. And no, it's such a dark behavior arc we're talking about here too, because some of the cases we've also covered in the past when we start dealing with serial sex offenders,
Mhm.
serial rapists, even serial killers. Who do they victimize? Who do these serial rapists? Because I've covered these cases on other shows as well and on TV. The thing that bothers me most is, and we saw the beginnings, potentially beginnings of it right here, and this is where the system fails, is that we start creating situations where child trafficking takes effect. So, say Harmony survived this.
Yeah.
Say that she wasn't killed by this meth addict father of hers, and she runs away. What then?
Yeah.
Is there a system that'll protect her? No, she then goes to a place and then she gets starts getting trapped because she gets validation from somewhere. Because this is how that industry works. They prey upon the vulnerable that are created by monsters like this, and then they become victims to other monsters, and that perpetuates this whole life arc. So the thing that drives me nuts about why we don't, as a society, pursue people like this
Mhm.
and pursue serial killers more, and not serial killer, but serial rapists more. There's this one case I can't remember the guy's name. Every serial rapist out there and I'm not going far askew here because Harmony, if she'd lived and survived, she's in this potential system that is creating these victims because every serial rapist out there is targeting a person and a child and a woman like this. One serial rapist can victimize up to 400 to 600 women.
And
That
how
is
many?
just
Yeah, I mean the spidering effects out of that.
and it all starts with a case like this. It
Yeah.
all starts with an instance where the system has failed a child like this. And
Mhm.
so 100%, I don't know the fix to that system, but boy, does it need to be fixed bad.
Yeah, and the fact that we continue to ignore it is, I think, one of the scariest things, and that can take us down other roads too. And in of well, who's using this system? Who's participating in this system? And the scary part is we have found in so many cases. A lot of people in high power seem to participate in some of these things, and it makes you wonder: is there a reason why we are not taking the
Yeah.
close look that we need to into this system to get it under wraps because it seems like it's doable. We just choose not to as a society, or those who are in power, I should say, are the ones who are choosing not to go down those roads.
So here's the positive. Here's what we can do. Let's go back to those keys of communication.
Yeah.
Recognize unhealthy people and unhealthy relationships and be the healthy person for others. Seek their thoughts and opinions, make them feel safe, make them see seen, make them feel valued by seeking their thoughts and opinions, talk in terms of their challenges, priorities, and pain points, and being curious about them and not judging. Have people feel safe to open up to you who is healthy and be a resource for them feeling safe to move forward in another area of their lives. And this doesn't, you don't have to go from 0 to 100. Not one person can save the entire world. Not one person can right an entire ship
Mhm.
that's sinking. But if you can touch one person at a time, and that then person sees your example of how you're interacting with, and they start touching another person, that's how these things happen. If
Mhm.
you can just make one positive impact by that, you start preventing horrendous instances like this where systems fail children and people like Harmony get murdered by drug addict dads. And I know he's not convicted yet, but I'm going to make a leap and say that.
Yeah. Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you like the podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you don't miss any of our updates on the cases we're following for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast from True Crime Today. And thanks